Hello everyone, and welcome back to the Fluctus Channel. U.S. sailors spend the vast majority of their time at sea on a boat. However, there are occasions when getting in the water is necessary. Whether it's to prepare for an emergency or just to take a relaxing swim, the Navy has methods to make sure its sailors are safe in open water. In this feature, we will explore the various ways they can be protected from the elements and underwater creatures, including sharks. While on deployment, U.S. Navy forces occasionally have the opportunity to take a dip in the ocean. The swim calls, as they're referred to in naval terminology, are refreshing and rejuvenating, allowing sailors to get some exercise. The U.S.S. Harry S. Truman, while anchored in the Mediterranean Sea in August 2022, became a water park of sorts, as sailors jumped from decks and splashed around in the warm water.
Ready? Step off. There, get you ready.
When a large cohort of the ship is in the water, it also puts the defense and operations of the ship at risk if something were to go wrong, such as a shark attack. This is why a number of sailors do not participate in the fun. Rather, they act as lookouts and lifeguards. Those assigned to stand guard during a swim call are armed with guns to potentially shoot into the water if a large shark is spotted. Members of the Coast Guard taking a break and swimming in the Pacific in 2020 had an extremely close call with a shark estimated to be between 6 and 8 feet in length. The shots were fired by a maritime enforcement specialist who was on watch. The gunfire did enough to distract the shark so that the swimmers could get to safety. The shark appeared uninjured as it swam away. If the shark had attacked and a person was severely injured, a medevac helicopter may have been called to airlift them to a nearby hospital. That's what happened in this situation in 2018. In a show of skill, a San Francisco Coast Guard crew was able to lift a man who was bitten by a shark off of a moving boat and into the hovering helicopter. The patient was flown to Stanford University Medical Center for treatment.
This is about 100 feet on the run out over the boat. Rescue check part 2. Let's do a rescue check part 2.
Medevac training is intense and prepares emergency responders for the worst of disasters. Whether that be shark bites, search and rescue operations, or a massive earthquake. In what is called the Cascadia Rising exercise, A Coast Guard crew practices how they would conduct medical evacuations in the case of a massive, magnitude 9.0 earthquake struck the Seattle area, causing collapsing buildings and perhaps a tsunami. Pilots and crews on board this helicopter are practicing the steps of a safe medevac. First, the helicopter hovers in place above the target. The pilot must take into account the weather, visibility, and the helicopter's fuel capacity to know how long the helicopter can safely hover. Next, crew members dispatch the basket. It must be carefully lowered to the target below. Careful practice in lowering and pulling the basket back up to the helicopter are essential to ensure that an injured person can be reached and brought to safety in a disaster.
Good? Yep. All right. I've got it from here. Sweet.
Common disasters that require medevac training include the extraction of a patient aboard a cruise ship. If someone is sick or injured and the ship is not able to head immediately into port, or another boat cannot meet the cruise ship at sea, the medevac is usually considered the last and best option. However, several steps must be taken before a Coast Guard helicopter is launched to the scene of an emergency.
A medevac checklist is a set of procedures and tasks that a watchstander will fill out. In the watch construct, there are many people that are involved in this development. This check sheet is filled out and used as a tool to brief a Coast Guard flight surgeon. The sooner we get the information, the better it is for us to execute a safe and orderly mission.
Among the information to be assessed is the degree of medical necessity for an evacuation. Medevacs are expensive, and depending on weather conditions and other factors, they can be risky. Generally, the best hoisting area is the clear area to the aft of the vessel, clear of any smokestacks. A bow hoist is also possible, but is a bit more difficult. Cases are judged by whether there's an imminent risk to life, limb, or eyesight, or significant human suffering that can be alleviated by doing a transport.
While we're en route to the case, en route to the cruise ship, we're trying to assess the risk. You know, we're talking about how far offshore the cruise ship is, where we're going to hoist from. We're talking about, okay, is this a nighttime hoist or a daytime hoist? Because every hoist can be vastly different from the next.
Once on the cruise ship, every second counts. Medevac is normally on site for just under 30 minutes. During that time, crew members assist in the loading of the patient using braces and a hoist. The medevac crew members are also tasked with the care of the patients en route to the hospital. Oftentimes, a member of the cruise ship medical team will accompany the patient to provide extra medical expertise. The type of helicopter most commonly used for medevac flights is the MH-65 Dolphin. The twin-engined aircraft has the unique capability of automatic flight control. At the pilot's direction, the system will bring the helicopter to a stable hover 50 feet above a selected object. This is an important safety feature in darkness or bad weather. Furthermore, in a search and rescue operation, selected routes can be programmed so that the helicopter flies itself. At the same time, the pilot and other crew members on board can turn their attention toward the ground or ocean below. If there is a water rescue, military and law enforcement personnel are prepared thanks to their WET training, which stands for Water Emergency Training.
What's your first?
This is an education in hypothermia mitigation techniques, rip current safety, swift water safety, life vest use, and other survival tips. Also covered in WET training are general and emergency swim safety and extraction techniques. Rescuers also have to practice what to do in case they themselves are in an emergency situation. In this pool in Savannah, Georgia, members of the Coast Guard are learning how to save themselves and their colleagues in case their helicopter goes down in the water and they're stuck upside down inside the cockpit. The shallow water egress training, or SWET, teaches the aircrew how to keep their composure and use their emergency equipment to safely and quickly escape the situation.
Good job. There we go. There we go.
Even NASA astronauts complete water survival training.
Water, day, all those good things. Everyone tracking?
In 2017 at Fairchild Air Force Base in Washington, the astronauts experienced a simulated crash landing. The drill attempts to mimic the same conditions in an open sea, including waves, rain, and low visibility. Through this drill, they learn the technicalities of how to escape an enclosed capsule in water, as well as how to use signaling and recovery devices. The perils of the water are not lost on members of the U.S. military. From the improbable but still existent threat of sharks to the dangers of a medevac hoist, Navy sailors, Coast Guard crew, and other first responders must not be afraid of the ocean, but respect it. That's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to subscribe to this channel so you don't miss any of our new content. See you next time.